Okay, the watch list for Wednesday, which will be January 6th. Quick note up there, you can pause the video to read it, but it basically says I'm a day trader, I don't hold overnight. So what I try to do is populate my watch list with recent passionate stocks, if you will, recent high relative volume movers, okay? And then try to find trades in it the very next day to make some money, get to cash, and be in cash every night. It served me really, really well in 2015, and looking forward to a great 2016. I have LEI up here just to show you an example. Everybody who trades knows how crazy LEI was. It moved from like 2 to 10 the other day. So what do? I have it on watch every day, okay? And so this is what it looked like at the open. See, these are 2-minute candles, and I'm just showing you this as an example of what I look for. So you had a high here and a lower high. I called this, if it broke this 2-minute high right here, this 2-minute candle, 7:15. So I called this on a 2-minute buy setup, basically, over the microphone when it looked like this morning. So the entry is 7:16. Worst case stop's going to be below this 2-minute candle, okay, at 7:03. So only 13 cents risk, and you can see what happened. It just ripped out of the gate. Daily gold in the bank, probably 8 minutes in. Traded other stuff too, but this is an example. And then if you go to the daily, you might look at that and say, hey, what kind of idiot went long LEI? Well, when you're a day trader, you have so much flexibility and you're so nimble, right? You can jump into those little gap plays in the morning, scale out into that pop, and who cares if it closes red? Your money's in the bank. So, and again, LEI should be on watch another week at least, because this crazy move here, you can get some nice trades. It looks like it's going to come in a little bit now, but that's an example of what we try to do, okay? EARS, I'll show you one more example. This was from today. We had it on watch and it gapped up, okay? It gapped up, so all I could do then, I missed this break of the opening 2-minute high. I was playing a different gap play, so I missed it. But man, the real entry was above this 528 right here. Look at that move all the way to 630. I knew I wanted in if I could catch a bounce later. Okay, so I just let it go. And then when it came back down here, this met all the parameters that I look for. So I called it long over this 2-minute candle, 555 with a 544 stop. And the stop held, and it ended up, I'll switch to fives now so you can see it better, ended up getting almost back to the high of the day. And our entry was right about there. So you don't always have to catch the breakout. You can always play that first pullback too. There's a couple examples of some of the things that we do in the chat room. All right, having babbled about that, let's talk about the watch list for tomorrow. Hawaiian Airlines, HA. This isn't a bullish chart, but it's overdone in the short term to the downside. 4 days straight down, a little bit of a tail today. So I had this on bounce watch. Again, that will only be played with a proper intraday setup. FIT. FIT. I made a tweet today joking about it looks like some hedge fund has a bajillion shares of FIT they were trying to unload. I mean, this thing could not bounce at all. Having said that, a lot of times when something's this beaten up, the next day you do get a bounce. So again, this goes on watch. We'll look for a proper setup. I wouldn't mind if this thing just sold off all day again tomorrow. It'll be a better bounce play set up for Thursday, right? So anyway, just on watch right now, but that is a really beaten up stock. Electronic Arts EA back down to support again. 1, 2, 3, 4 red days down to an area of support. And watch this for a potential bounce. KTOV had a nice little volume spike today, and I mean this thing was just after this gap up, just beaten senseless. But this is a nice little pop today. So maybe a red to green tomorrow. I want to keep it on watch. It's a lower volume stock. Doesn't cost me anything to have it on a chart. CMRX. I talked about this the other day when it looked like this. I said it doesn't look like a long here, but I'm going to keep it on watch for a few days because I like the action here. And lo and behold, it's kind of starting to head back up. You can see it better if I switch to 15-minute candles and take the gap out of it. So you had this really nice move here. Now you kind of have a cup and handle. So I like this over today's high. I have in my notes 945. Today's high 944. So there you go. If it gets over this little flag here, it might come up and break out into that gap above 975. So that's a pretty good setup there. Even though the daily chart's so weird, it's hard to decipher. When you go down to 15-minute candles, you can see it pretty well. CDZI. Again, this is a little bit farther away from the moving averages than I like to call a long, but I also like the fact that it ended up closing pretty strong. If I switch to 5-minute candles, over the last 30 minutes or so, this thing just climbed up, okay? And it, let's see, let's go to 15s. Had a really nice move here, flagged for a day and a half, and then a nice secondary move. And it's really holding up pretty well. Great support in the 530 area. So in the very short term, this is extended, but sometimes after an overnight, we can get a nice red to green setup or something like that. So this one goes on watch. I'd like to see it consolidate for a couple days, but we'll see. GSM, I like this pop here. Pulled back into the 20-day, and it's showing some strength again. So switch to 15-minute candles, pan out a little bit. So you had this pop, and you kind of have another little cup and handle. Up over the 1150 area, this one might start heading back up. Again, when I give a price like that, it doesn't mean no matter what, I'll take it if it gets over 1150 tomorrow, right? The market might be tanking. The sector might be tanking. It might gap down to 1080 and then run straight up to 1150, in which case, in the short term, it's going to be not a good idea to buy it. So we don't know how it's going to trade, but I do like the looks of this chart. Okay, I like this pop up and the sell off and the nice bounce. And doesn't have a great daily range though, so I'm certainly not in love with that one. CNAT is my last pick, and this one is on the watch list because it had news in after hours and will be a gap play tomorrow. Closed at 287. I think it closed the after hours trading session at 346. So if I go to 60-minute candles and then add extended hours on there, you can see it. So let me pan out a little more. So really nice volume. This is all after hours, this volume. And I'll put a line, let's see. Put a line at the after hours highs, just so when we go back to the daily chart, you can see how high it got. So it got up to here. This one made a couple big moves here. Well, on this gap, it sold off, and then a big 2-day move there. On this gap up, it had a nice strong run. Then it gapped up and sold off ever since. It's a lower float stock, so I'll play it the way that we teach to play gap plays, but it's certainly going to be interesting tomorrow. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. Hopefully we'll find some gappers in addition to CNAT tomorrow, and oftentimes we can get our daily goal in the first 30 minutes and then take it easy the rest of the day. All right, have a good night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.